Forget everything you think you know about manifestation. Forget the empty phrases, the imaginary checks to the universe, and the simplistic idea that merely thinking positive will transform your life. Let's be honest. If that worked, wouldn't we all be living in abundance, perfect health, and ideal love already? If repeating an affirmation were enough to be rich, there would be no poverty. If visualizing health were enough to heal, there would be no disease. The uncomfortable truth, the one that lies at the heart of the frustration of millions of sincere seekers, is that superficial positive thinking, for most, doesn't work. And it doesn't work because it's like trying to change a reflection in a mirror by shouting at it. It's like trying to polish the body of a car whose engine is fundamentally broken. It ignores the real cause. It stays on the surface, while the true forces of creation operate in the invisible depths of our being. This audiobook isn't going to offer you another cloth to polish the surface. It's going to hand you the toolbox and the workshop manual so you can for the first time open the hood and fix the engine. The truth is that the universe isn't a naive servant that obeys your whimsical thoughts. It is a vast, complex, and perfectly ordered machine, governed by invisible laws as precise and impersonal as the law of gravity. It doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to your vibration. It doesn't respond to your optimism. It responds to your subconscious programming. It doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your alignment. You've been trying to play a game without knowing its rules, and that's why you've been losing. You've been trying to operate a complex machine without the instruction manual. This audiobook is that manual. Throughout the following chapters, we will become engineers of reality. We are going to dismantle piece by piece the great illusion of positive thinking to reveal the real machinery that operates underneath. We'll explore the law of vibration to understand that your feeling, not your thought, is the true prayer the universe hears. We'll decipher the law of belief to see how your subconscious programming is the operating system that overrides any new positive thinking program you try to install. We'll understand the law of gestation, which explains why creation takes time and why impatience is the poison that kills our dreams. And we'll master the law of the void, the paradox that supreme power resides not in effort, but in surrender. This isn't a journey for those looking for quick fixes or magic pills. It's for those who are tired of illusions and at last are ready for the truth. It's for those who are ready to stop being frustrated passengers in the vehicle of their lives and become the mechanics and, ultimately, the pilots who understand the control panel. The great illusion is about to crumble. The truth of the machinery awaits. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Mirage of Positivity. Before we can understand and use the true machinery of the universe, we must first examine with brutal honesty why the most popular tool of modern self-help, positive thinking, is, in most cases, a mirage in the desert of manifestation. We are not here to criticize the intention. The intention behind positive thinking is noble, to choose optimism over despair, hope over defeat. But a good intention, applied to a machine that is not understood, is like trying to fly a fighter jet with the instructions for a kite. At best, you won't get off the ground. At worst, you can cause considerable damage. The vibrational dissonance, the untuned song, the first and most fundamental reason why superficial positive thinking fails is due to the principle of vibrational dissonance. As we will explore in depth later, the universe does not respond to your words, your affirmations, or even your superficial thoughts. It responds with infallible precision to your vibration, and your vibration is the sum total of your state of being, composed mainly of your deepest subconscious beliefs and your dominant emotions. Imagine that your being is a musical instrument, a complete orchestra. Your conscious thoughts are the lyrics of the song you are trying to sing. Your emotions and subconscious beliefs are the music, the melody, the harmony, and the rhythm that the orchestra is actually playing. Superficial positive thinking is the act of trying to sing happy, optimistic lyrics over a symphony that is profoundly sad, dissonant, and chaotic. You stand in front of the mirror in the morning and repeat, like a forced mantra, "I am abundant, I am prosperous, money comes to me with ease." That's the lyrics. But as you do so, your heart, the string section of the orchestra, is playing the music of fear of not being able to pay the bills. Your body, the percussion section, is tense with the rhythm of scarcity vibration. Your root belief, buried deep in your subconscious from childhood. Whispers the background harmony. You don't deserve it. Money is hard to get. People like us don't get rich. What do you think the universe hears? The barely audible lyrics whispered by 5% of your conscious mind, or the deafening, dissonant symphony emanating from 95% of your vibrational state. The universe is deaf to your words if they are not in harmony with your music. And when there is a contradiction between what you think and what you feel, the feeling always wins. Feeling is the truth of your vibration. This internal conflict, this energetic civil war between a mind that tries to be positive and a body and subconscious that are anchored in negativity, creates a chaotic, confusing electromagnetic signal. It is static. You send the universe a contradictory command, a blurry blueprint, and the universe, in its perfect literal logic, can only give you back a reflection of that same chaos. Inconsistent results, half manifestations, small advances followed by major setbacks, or simply nothing. The initiate in the machinery of the universe does not try to think positive by force. His work is much deeper, more real. It is the work of a master tuner. It is to tune his instrument, to rewrite the score of his beliefs, and to heal his emotional orchestra, so that the music of his being and the lyrics of his intention at last sing the same, coherent song. The spiritual bypass, the danger of toxic positivity. The second and most dangerous flaw of superficial positive thinking is that it often becomes a tool for emotional repression. What transpersonal psychology knows as spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypass is the act of using spiritual concepts and ideas. Everything is perfect. Vibrate. High, think positive, to avoid confronting one's own emotional wounds and unresolved psychological work. It is using positivity as an anesthetic, like a pretty bandage over an infected wound. You feel a surge of righteous anger at an injustice, and instead of allowing yourself to feel it, to understand its message about a boundary that has been violated, you put on a mask of serenity and repeat, "Everything is perfect. I am peace. I must not judge." You experience a deep sadness over a loss, and instead of allowing yourself the sacred process of grieving, you force yourself to look on the bright side and vibrate high, feeling guilty for your own pain. You feel fear in the face of a challenge, and instead of acknowledging and exploring it, you cover it with affirmations of "I am brave," while your body trembles. This is toxic positivity. It is a form of subtle but profound violence against your own soul, and it is incredibly destructive in the long run. Energy, as physics teaches us, cannot be destroyed, only transformed. An emotion that is repressed, denied, or judged as negative or unspiritual does not disappear. It is buried in the basement of your subconscious, and from there, like a forgotten prisoner, it begins to rot, to bang on the walls, to poison the water of your life. Repressed anger can turn into a passive-aggressive depression, into migraines, into autoimmune diseases. Its message was simple: defend your territory. By not listening to it, the energy turns against the territory itself. Unwept sadness can turn into chronic apathy, into anhedonia, an inability to feel joy because to numb the pain, you had to numb the entire emotional spectrum. Unacknowledged and uninvestigated fear can turn into a generalized anxiety disorder, a constant hum of objectless panic that sabotages your peace. These repressed emotions become energetic blockages in your body. They are dams in the river of your life force, and no matter how many positive affirmations you try to shout from the bank, the river of manifestation cannot flow through a channel that is blocked by the concrete of your own denied emotions. Positive thinking, in this case, becomes the rug under which you sweep all your emotional garbage. The room may look clean on the surface, but sooner or later the stench of what you've hidden will become unbearable and manifest as a crisis in your health, your relationships, or your finances. The true path to mastery is not to deny the shadow, but to integrate it. It is to understand that your negative emotions are not your enemies. They are your messengers. They are an infallible guidance system that is giving you incredibly valuable information about the beliefs and wounds that need to be healed so that you can become truly whole and powerful. The two engines of reality, the true cause. Now that we have dismantled the illusion of superficial positive thinking, let's explore the true machinery that operates underneath. There are two great and silent engines that create your reality. Two powerful forces that operate in perfect tandem. The primacy of the subconscious, the 95% rule. The first and largest engine of your reality is your subconscious mind. Imagine your consciousness is an iceberg. The small tip you see above the water, which scientists estimate to be approximately 5%, is your conscious mind, your day-to-day thoughts, your logic, your analysis, your willpower. The immense, colossal, and hidden mass below the water, the remaining 95% of the iceberg, is your subconscious mind, your childhood programming, your ingrained beliefs, your memorized emotions, your automatic habits, your loyalties to your tribe, your unresolved traumas. Now, imagine that you, as the captain of your ship, are on the tip of the iceberg, in that 5% conscious. And with all your willpower, with all your affirmations and positive thoughts, you try with heroic effort to push the iceberg to the east. But the deep and powerful ocean currents, your subconscious programs, are flowing inexorably to the west. Who will win that battle? The answer is obvious and often frustrating. The immense mass of the iceberg, moved by the invisible current, will inevitably drag the small tip in its direction, despite all your conscious efforts. This is the reality of your mind. Neuroscientific studies suggest that 95% of your day, your decisions, your emotional reactions, your automatic behaviors, is not directed by your conscious 5%, but by the programming of your subconscious 95%. You can use your 5% to affirm I am prosperous, but if 95% of your being is running the program of scarcity is our family, reality, what hologram do you think will be projected on the screen of your life? You can use your 5% to decide I'm going to find a healthy partner, but if 95% of your being holds the belief that love is dangerous, you will subconsciously sabotage every opportunity for real intimacy. Superficial, positive thinking fails because it is an attempt by the 5% to fight the 95%. It is a battle lost in advance. The true mastery, the real work we will do on this journey, fails not to fight the subconscious, but to learn to dive into its depths, to dialogue with it, heal it, and finally, reprogram it. 2. The currency of vibration, the language of the universe. The second engine is your vibrational state, your dominant emotional frequency. The universe does not understand your language. It does not understand Spanish or English or the positive affirmations you recite. The universe understands a single language, the most primordial of all, frequency. As we have already seen, every emotion has a unique vibrational signature. Fear vibrates at a low chaotic frequency. Gratitude vibrates at a high coherent frequency. Your state of being at every moment is emitting a frequency. And this frequency is the true by-order you are sending to the quantum field. The dissonance we speak of is not a poetic idea. It is a physical fact. When your words say abundance but your body feels fear, you are emitting two contradictory and mutually exclusive frequencies. It's like trying to tune in to two radio stations at once on the same receiver. The result is pure static. The universe, in the face of a static signal, can do nothing, or by the law of least resistance, it responds to the signal that is stronger, more sustained, and more familiar to you, that of fear. The real work of the reality engineer, therefore, is not to think prettier thoughts by force. It is to cultivate on a cellular and somatic level a higher state of being. It is to learn to deliberately generate and sustain the frequencies of gratitude, love, and abundance, so that the music of your being and the lyrics of your intention at last sing the same harmonious and powerful song. The first diagnosis, the audit of the state of being. To start working with the real machinery, you must first make an honest diagnosis, not of your thoughts, but of your dominant state of being. Your first practice is not to change anything. It is simply to observe. Several times a day, without warning, you pause. You can set a random alarm on your phone. When it rings, stop. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. And instead of asking yourself, what am I thinking? You ask yourself, what am I feeling? What is the background music of my being right now? What is the quality of my vibration? Do not try to change it. Do not judge it as good or bad. Simply name it with detached curiosity. The music of rushing anxiety. The music of a dull resentment toward that person. the music of worrying about the future, or perhaps, the music of an unexpected calm. Keep a small journal of this for a couple of days. Note down the music every time you pause. This journal will become the most honest market report of your vibrational state. It will show you, without a doubt, the signal you have really been emitting to the universe. This is the first act of true reality engineering, becoming aware of the true cause. The mirage of positivity has dissolved. You have seen that it is not enough to paint a smile on the surface of a stormy sea. The real work is much deeper, much more honest, and ultimately infinitely more powerful. Chapter 2. The Tyranny of Feeling Good. This is the belief, widespread in New Age spirituality, that emotions like sadness, anger, or fear are bad, are low vibration, and that we must avoid them at all costs so as not to ruin our manifestation or lower our frequency. This tyranny, although born of a good intention, is one of the most dangerous and counterproductive ideas on the path of awakening. It turns us into policemen of our own souls, into judges of our own hearts. It is the recipe for spiritual bypass, for the repression of the shadow, and ultimately, for the sabotage of our own power and our own humanity. To become a true reality engineer, you must not only dismantle the illusion of positive thinking, but also the tyranny of positive feeling, the anatomy of repression, the creation of the shadow. When we believe that an emotion is bad, dangerous, or unspiritual, our programmed instinct is to repress it. We push it down, we deny it, we distract ourselves with our phones or work. We put on a mask of "I'm fine, everything is perfect," but energy, as physics teaches us, cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. An emotion that is repressed does not disappear. It is banished, exiled to the dark basement of our psyche, to what the great psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow. And from that dark, windowless basement, the denied emotion begins to fester. It mutates. It becomes denser, more volatile, and much more dangerous than it was in its original, pure and simple form. Natural anger, which in its pure form is the energy of protection and boundary setting, when repressed, can become a passive-aggressive depression, a bitter cynicism that poisons every interaction, disproportionate fits of rage, or by turning against the body itself, autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, uncried sadness, whose sacred function is to cleanse the heart and allow us to let go of what no longer serves us. When repressed, turns into chronic apathy, an existential weight that crushes us, an inability to feel joy because to numb the pain, we have had to numb the entire emotional spectrum, unacknowledged fear, whose purpose is to signal a limiting belief or a perceived threat. When repressed, turns into a generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks that arise out of nowhere, or obsessive control behaviors that limit our life to a small cage of safe routines. The shadow does not remain in the basement forever. It finds a way to come out, to be seen, and its most common form of manifestation is projection. The projector of your mind takes the film of your unacknowledged emotion and projects it onto the screen of the world, making you believe you are seeing it out there. The anger you do not allow yourself to feel is what you constantly see and judge in drivers, in politicians, in your partner. What irritates you most in others is often an echo of a part of you that you have exiled. The vulnerability and weakness you have banished from yourself is what makes you attract and be attracted to people who need to be rescued, or on the contrary, what makes you attract people who hurt you, so that you can indirectly feel that wound you refuse to feel yourself. The energetic cost of repression, the inner civil war. In addition to the psychological cost of projection, the act of repression requires an immense amount of psychic energy. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball submerged underwater in a swimming pool. It requires constant effort, muscle tension, and uninterrupted vigilance. The moment you get distracted, the moment you relax the pressure, the ball shoots to the surface with an explosive force, often at the most inopportune time. Your repressed emotions are that beach ball, mental fog, chronic fatigue, and that feeling of being deeply exhausted for no apparent reason are often the symptoms of a nervous and psychic system that is spending 80% of its vital energy keeping the truths of its own heart submerged. The tyranny of feeling good does not uplift you. It exhausts you. It does not liberate you. It chains you to a perpetual silent war against yourself. True power does not reside in the ability to feel only the good, but in the ability to feel everything without fear. The first principle: emotions are information, the soul's language. The first step of emotional alchemy is to completely change your relationship with emotion. You stop seeing it as an enemy to be defeated, and you start seeing it as a messenger that brings invaluable information from the depths of your being. A negative emotion is like the warning light on your car's dashboard. The low oil light is not the problem. It is the signal that there is a problem in the engine that requires your attention. Repressing the emotion, forcing yourself to feel good despite the signal, is like putting a piece of black tape over the warning light so you don't have to see it. The car may keep going for a while, but the problem in the engine, now ignored, will only get bigger, until finally, on the highway of life, the engine seizes, manifesting as a health crisis, a relationship breakup, or a professional collapse. The wise engineer does not hate or ignore the warning signal. He thanks it. He stops, opens the hood, and reads the information. Below is a basic translation guide for the language of your messengers. Anger. An important boundary has been crossed, or you need to set one. Your sovereignty is being violated. Sadness. It's time to let go of something that no longer serves you, or to honor a loss so you can heal and move on. Anxiety, fear. You are believing a thought about a future that isn't true, or an old wound from your past has been activated and needs your loving attention. Envy. This person or situation is showing me a deep and authentic desire of my soul that I have not acknowledged or have not dared to pursue. Guilt. One of my actions was not aligned with my deepest values. It is an opportunity to realign, to repair if necessary, and to reaffirm who I choose to be. The second practice, the art of listening, compassionate inquiry. The alchemist does not repress emotion. He invites it to sit down and questions it with kindness. His practice is that of compassionate inquiry. When a difficult emotion arises, instead of running from it, reacting from it, or being hijacked by its drama, you pause. You create a space of consciousness. You become the observer. And you ask it with genuine, loving curiosity. The alchemist's questions, often in your journal. Hello, name of emotion. I see you. You are welcome here. What have you come to teach me? This question immediately changes your posture from victim to student. It opens a dialogue instead of a battle. Where do I feel you in my body? You bring your attention to the physical sensation. Is it a knot in your throat? A fire in your stomach? This pulls you out of the mental story and anchors you in the bodily reality of the emotion. What limiting belief or story are you pointing to? Emotions are often the guardians of our deepest subconscious beliefs. Anxiety, for example, is often the guardian of a belief like, the world is a dangerous place, or I am not capable of handling this. By following the trail of the emotion, you can get to the root of the belief that needs to be healed and reprogrammed. What unmet need are you revealing? Behind every difficult emotion, there is a fundamental human need that is not being met. Anger often reveals the need for respect or autonomy. Sadness reveals the need for comfort or closure. Envy shows you with painful clarity what your soul truly longs to express. The third practice, somatic transmutation, releasing the energy. Once you have received the emotion's message, once you have read the letter, you must allow the messenger to leave in peace. You must release its energy, which is often trapped in your bodily tissue as muscle tension. The practice is that of somatic dissolution. Focus and feel. You bring all the light of your attention, without judgment, to the physical sensation of the emotion in your body. You become one with the sensation. Breathe into it. You breathe deeply, imagining your breath traveling to that area of your body. You do not breathe to eliminate it, but to give it space, to loosen its grip. Allow expression, and you allow, in a safe space, the energy to move and express itself. Sometimes this can be passive, simply feeling the energy dissolve into warmth or tingling. Other times it may require a more active expression, crying to cleanse your system of sadness, yelling into a pillow to release anger, or trembling to discharge accumulated fear. By allowing the energy to be fully felt and expressed, without judgment, you release it from your system. You have honored the messenger, you have read its message, and you have let it go. The transmutation is complete. Chapter 3. The Hidden Cause, the True Engine. The great illusion under which the untrained mind operates is the belief that its conscious self is in charge. We believe we are our conscious thoughts, our rational decisions, our willpower. We identify with the spokesperson who announces the company's decisions, without realizing that we are not the ones who make them. But neuroscience, deep psychology, and ancient wisdom reveal an astonishing and humbling truth. Approximately 95% of our lives, our decisions, our emotional reactions, our automatic behaviors, what we attract and what we repel, is not directed by our conscious mind, but by the programming of our subconscious mind. Your consciousness is like an iceberg. The small tip you see above the water, that visible and often noisy 5%, is your conscious mind. It is the you who thinks he is making the decisions. It is the captain on the bridge of the ship, in his impeccable uniform, turning the rudder. The immense, colossal and hidden mass beneath the surface, the remaining 95% of the iceberg, is your subconscious mind. And it is this invisible mass, not the small tip, that is moved by the deep and powerful ocean currents of beliefs, memorized emotions, and childhood programming. It is this mass that dictates the true direction of the iceberg. You can, with your conscious 5%, with the captain on the bridge, affirm with all your willpower, I want to go east, toward abundance. But if 95% of your subconscious mass, programmed by decades of scarcity beliefs inherited from your family, is being dragged by the ocean current to the west, where do you think the iceberg will inevitably move? This is the fundamental reason why willpower by itself almost always fails in the long run. Willpower is the lonely sailor on the deck of a supertanker, trying to change its course with a single oar. The effort is heroic, admirable, but ultimately useless against the inertia of the mass and the force of the current. The ship will follow the course that has been programmed into its autopilot. Superficial positive thinking fails because it is an attempt by the conscious 5% to shout new orders to the subconscious 95%. Without bothering to go down to the control room, understand its language, and reprogram the autopilot, it is a battle lost in advance. True mastery, true power, does not consist of fighting the subconscious. That would be like fighting your own arm. It consists of befriending it, understanding its language, and learning to rewrite its code. The mechanics of the autopilot, to be able to reprogram this supercomputer, we must first understand its functions and its language. Its purpose is efficiency. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is an efficiency machine designed by evolution. It would be impossible to live if you had to consciously think about every action, breathing, making your heart beat, walking, driving, speaking. The subconscious automates processes to free up your conscious mind so that it can focus on learning new things. The problem is that it automates everything that is repeated frequently enough, including your fear reactions, your limiting beliefs, and your self-sabotaging patterns. Its language is image and emotion. The subconscious does not understand abstract logic or negation. If I tell you don't think of a pink elephant, what do you think of? The subconscious does not process don't. It only processes the image and the feeling of the pink elephant. Its language is that of vivid images and felt emotions. Its mission is coherence. Its main directive is to keep you safe and to ensure that your external reality is always coherent with your internal reality, with your programmed identity. If your programmed identity is I am a person who struggles for money, your subconscious will perceive a large, unexpected gain as a threat to your identity and will find ingenious ways to sabotage you, to return you to your comfort zone of struggle. The first engine of your reality, the hidden cause, is this vast and powerful programmed mind. To ignore it is to try to navigate the ocean while ignoring the currents. The second engine of reality, the vibrational state. If the subconscious mind is the supercomputer that runs your life's program, there must be an energy source that powers that computer and a signal that broadcasts its results to the world. The second engine of your reality, inseparable from the first, is your vibrational state. Your state of being at every moment is emitting a frequency, and this frequency is determined not by your superficial and fleeting thoughts, but by your dominant emotional state. Your feeling is the true song you are singing, the true prayer you are emitting. The law of resonance, the universe's mirror. The law of resonance is an impersonal law of physics, as real as gravity. You don't attract what you think. You attract what you are vibrationally. The universe is a perfect tuning fork, an infinite resonance field. If you vibrate predominantly at the frequency of anxiety and worry, the universe has no choice but to make events, people, and circumstances that correspond perfectly with anxiety resonate in your life. If you vibrate predominantly at the frequency of gratitude and wholeness, the universe must by law make events, people, and circumstances that give you more reasons to feel gratitude resonate in your life. The true job of the conscious creator is not, therefore, to control every one of his 60,000 daily thoughts, an impossible and exhausting task. It is to calibrate his vibration, to tune his instrument, so that the music he emits is that of the reality he consciously chooses, the heart as emitter, the radio tower of the self. If your emotional state is the music, your heart is the radio station that broadcasts that music to the universe. Science has shown that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that is up to 5,000 times more powerful than the field generated by the brain. Your heart is the most powerful emitter of your being. A forced positive thought without an emotion to back it up is like a radio host reading a happy script in a monotonous, sad voice. The verbal message, the thought, is positive, but the electromagnetic signal, the feeling, is negative. The signal is incongruent. It's static. The universe receives a confused message and cannot respond. A genuine state of being, where your clear thought and your elevated feeling are aligned, what is known as heart-brain coherence, is a coherent signal. It's a high-definition broadcast. The lyrics and the music sing the same song, and the universe receives a clear, powerful, and unequivocal command. The first diagnosis, the vibrational audit. To start working with this real machinery, you must make an honest diagnosis, not of your thoughts, but of your state of being. Your first practice is not to change anything. It is to observe. It is to become the seismograph of your own inner landscape. Several times a day, set a random alarm on your phone. When it rings, stop. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And instead of asking yourself, what am I thinking? You ask, what am I feeling? What is the background music of my being right now? What is the quality of my vibration? Do not try to change it. Do not judge it as good or bad. Simply name it with a scientist's curiosity. The music of rushing anxiety. The music of a dull resentment. The music of boredom. Or perhaps the music of an unexpected calm. To go deeper, locate it in your body. Where does this music live? Is it a knot in the stomach? A tension in the neck? A lightness in the chest? Keep a small journal of this for 3 days. Note down the music and its location every time the alarm sounds. At the end of the 3 days, you will have a brutally honest vibrational map of your habitual state of being. This is not an exercise in self-criticism. It is for data collection. It is your personal market report, which shows you with undeniable clarity what your true buy order for the universe has been. This is the first act of true reality engineering, becoming aware of your true signal, your true cause. The hidden cause has been revealed. The true engine of your reality is not your superficial conscious thought, that 5% that gets all the credit. It is the powerful and often invisible synergy of your subconscious programming, the 95%, and your dominant vibrational state. Chapter 4. The Law of Vibration, the Language of the Universe. This law, as old as time itself and whispered in all mystical traditions, establishes a simple and profound principle. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. And crucially for our work as creators, that your dominant vibration determines the reality you experience. Modern science, on its journey to the heart of matter, has finally caught up with ancient wisdom. Through the lens of quantum physics, it has confirmed this mystical truth. It has discovered that, at the deepest and most fundamental level, solid objects do not exist. There are no things, the chair you sit in, the table you rest your hands on, your own body. Everything you perceive as solid is in fact 99.9999% empty space, populated by vortices of energy that vibrate at an inconceivable speed. Solidity is an illusion created by the slowness and limitation of our 5 senses. The universe is not a collection of static objects in empty space. It is an infinite, vibrant symphony of frequencies, a dance of energetic ghosts. Every object, every person, every thought, every emotion, has its own unique vibrational signature, its own note in the great orchestra of the cosmos. And you, as a center of consciousness, are one of the most potent instruments in this orchestra. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, emits a specific frequency to the universe. You are a radio station broadcasting your personal song, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here lies the secret that superficial positive thinking completely ignores. The universe is a resonance field. It is not a listener that interprets the lyrics of your song with its intellect. It is a giant tuning fork that, by immutable physical law, can only vibrate in response to the music you are playing, to the frequency you are emitting. The universe does not give you what you ask for with your words. The universe sings along with you. You don't attract what you think. You attract what you are vibrationally. The vibrational scale of consciousness, the map of your inner territory. Not all vibrations are equal. Every emotional state has a unique frequency signature. We can imagine a great vibrational scale of consciousness, a map of our inner territory. At the lowest end of the scale, we find survival emotions, the frequencies of the densest contraction. Shame, guilt, apathy. They are slow, heavy, chaotic vibrations, like a deep, distorted note that creates a feeling of heaviness, powerlessness, and stagnation. Living in these frequencies is like trying to swim in tar. The reality they create is one of invisibility, self-punishment, and hopelessness. As we move up, we find suffering, fear, and desire, of lack. These are frequencies with more energy, but it is a chaotic, incoherent energy. It is the static of the radio, the music of conflict and need. The frequency of fear constantly attracts things to be afraid of. The frequency of lack-based desire attracts the perpetual experience of wanting and not having. At the center of the scale, we find courage, neutrality, and willingness. Courage is the turning point, the first frequency that gives us the power to act and change our reality, instead of being a mere victim of it. And at the upper end, we find the elevated emotions, the frequencies of expansion, acceptance, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. They are fast, coherent, harmonious, and magnetic vibrations. They are the music of creation. The frequency of love attracts connection and synchronicity. The frequency of joy attracts effortless reception. The frequency of peace attracts mastery over circumstances. Your job as a reality engineer is not to think about joy. It is to learn to tune your instrument, your being, so that it can play and sustain the frequency of joy. The heart as emitter, the soul's broadcast tower. If your emotional state is the music, your heart is the radio station that broadcasts that music to the universe. As we have seen, science has measured that the heart's electromagnetic field is thousands of times more powerful than the brain's. Your heart is the emitter, the great amplifier that carries your vibrational signature to the quantum field. A positive thought, I am abundant, in a state of fear, is a contradictory, chaotic signal. The brain, the scriptwriter, emits a small electrical signal with the information of abundance, but the heart, the broadcast tower, is transmitting a powerful, magnetic signal with the emotion of scarcity. What signal do you think the universe, which is miles away, receives? It receives the most powerful and coherent signal, the truth of your heart. The machinery of creation responds to the strongest signal. It responds to the truth of your heart, not the lies of your head. The coherence between thought and feeling is the key to a clear, powerful transmission. The first practice, the vibrational audit, the musician's diagnosis. The engineer does not try to tune his instrument blindly. First, he must listen precisely to the note it is playing. His practice is that of the vibrational audit. This practice is a deepening of the diagnosis we began in the previous chapter. Several times a day you pause, and you ask yourself the musician's question, what is my frequency right now? What note am I emitting to the universe? Feel. You bring all your attention to your body, the resonator of your soul. Do you feel contraction or expansion? The direction of the energy. Do you feel heaviness or lightness? The density of the energy. Do you feel tension or relaxation? The fluidity of the energy. Name then, based on these sensations, you name the emotion. I'm vibrating at the frequency of frustration. This is the vibration of anxiety. I feel the frequency of calm. Locate. Try to locate the emotion on the vibrational scale. Frustration. That's in the anger-desire zone. It's a frequency of action, but chaotic and incoherent. Calm. That's closer to acceptance and peace. It's a coherent high-power frequency. This simple act of naming and locating, as we have seen, de-identifies you from the emotion. You stop being the music and you become the director who listens to it. And only the director can change the score. The second practice, the art of transmutation, the heart's alchemy, the frequency engineer does not fight a low frequency. He knows that resistance only amplifies dissonance. Instead, he deliberately introduces a superior harmonic frequency, knowing that the highest and most coherent note will always dominate and transform the lowest and most chaotic one. His practice is that of conscious transmutation, a process we will call the alchemical pivot. When you identify a frequency of fear, anxiety, or frustration, instead of repressing it or letting it carry you away, you perform the following steps. Radical acceptance for a moment. Allow the emotion to be there without judgment. Say, "I see you, anxiety. You have permission to be here for a moment." Fighting it is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Physiological shift. Immediately, you change your instrument, your body. You stand up, straighten your back, roll your shoulders back, breathe deeply from your diaphragm, and if possible, force a slight smile for 30 seconds. This change in posture sends a biochemical signal to your brain that interrupts the production of cortisol and begins to release endorphins. You have changed the acoustics of your instrument, invocation of the higher frequency. Now, with your physiology changed, you introduce the new note. You use emotional memory or gratitude. You evoke a memory of a moment of genuine gratitude, unconditional love or appreciation for a simple beauty. You immerse yourself in that feeling. You bring your hand to your heart and feel that warmth expanding in your chest. You sustain that new frequency for 60 seconds. You have introduced, by sovereign choice, a new note into the orchestra, and the highest and most coherent note of gratitude will always, by physical law, absorb and transmute the lower, chaotic energy of fear. The third practice, environmental tuning, the acoustics of your life. Finally, the engineer knows that his instrument is constantly influenced by the other instruments of the orchestra and by the acoustics of the room he is in. His practice is that of environmental tuning. He becomes a conscious curator of his own vibrational environment to facilitate his work. The music, your personal soundtrack. Consciously choose the music you listen to. Music is pure vibration. Create specific playlists for your needs. A coherence playlist, with classical or instrumental music for your morning ritual. A focus playlist for deep work. A high-energy playlist to change a low mood. People, your vibrational counsel. Emotions are contagious. You become a guardian of your inner circle. You choose to spend time with high-vibration people, those who resonate with gratitude, possibility, and inspiration. You lovingly limit your exposure to energy vampires, those who live permanently in complaint, judgment, and fear. Information, your mental diet. You apply the information diet strictly. You stop consuming the noise of media negativity, social media arguments, and low-vibration entertainment. You feed your mind with books, podcasts, and films that inspire you and tune you to the frequency of your future self. Nature, the planetary tuning fork. The engineer knows that nature is the perfect tuning fork, the radio station of coherence. A walk in the forest or by the sea is the fastest and most effective way to recalibrate his system to the frequency of harmony. The rhythm of the waves, the solidity of a tree, the immensity of the sky, all of it reminds you of the original music of creation. Chapter 5. The Law of Belief, the Operating System. Now we must immerse ourselves in the first and most powerful of these engines. We must understand the law that governs everything, the deepest and most fundamental layer of creation. The law of belief. In the machinery of the mind, not all forces are equal. There is a hierarchy of power, a scale of creative density. A thought is a spark. It is fleeting, ethereal. It can illuminate an instant, but it lacks the sustained power to heat the room. A feeling is a flame. It is more powerful, it generates heat, energy, and action. But it can be unstable, flickering and changing with the wind of circumstances. A belief, on the other hand, is the sun. It is a self-sustained nuclear fusion reaction at the center of your being. It does not need to be ignited at every moment with conscious effort. It simply is, and it radiates its reality constantly, powerfully and unshakably, gravitationally affecting everything that orbits around it, your thoughts, your feelings, and your circumstances. A belief is a thought that has been practiced, that has been watered with emotion, and repeated with such consistency that it has solidified into the fabric of your being. It has crossed the threshold that separates an idea from a truth. It has become a fundamental part, an axiom of your operating system, your subconscious mind. The engine of 95% of your life operates exclusively from this belief system. And here lies the fundamental reason why your conscious positive thoughts are often useless. You can use your conscious 5% to have a thought of "I am prosperous," but if the operating system of your subconscious 95% is running the program "scarcity," is reality, and you don't deserve it, your conscious thought will be instantly nullified. It is like trying to run a new, brilliant prosperity software on an obsolete, virus-ridden operating system like Windows 95 Scarcity Edition. The system will simply reject it, show an error message, or crash. The real work is not to have more positive thoughts. It is to update your operating system. And the architecture of belief, the installation of the code. To be able to rewrite your code, you must first understand how it was written. You must become an archaeologist of your own mind. Most of our deepest and most limiting beliefs were not chosen by us. They were installed in a moment of vulnerability, without our informed consent. The hypnotic installation, the childhood source code. From birth to approximately 7 years of age, a child's brain operates predominantly in a theta wave state. This is not a state of logical thinking. It is a state of hypnosis, of pure recording. The conscious and critical mind, the firewall of your mind, is not yet formed. In this stage, we are like a tape recorder, absorbing the truths of our environment directly into our subconscious. If you grew up in a home where the dominant belief was life is a struggle, that idea was recorded as a fundamental law of the universe, like the law of gravity. If you repeatedly heard that money doesn't grow on trees or saw your parents fight over it, you installed the program of scarcity and conflict. If you learned that love was conditional, that you only received it when you were good or quiet, you installed the belief that love must be earned. These are the fundamental lines of code, the kernel of your personal operating system. The traumatic forging, the emergency installation. A belief can also be forged in an instant, through a highly emotionally charged event. A trauma, a humiliation, a heartbreak is an emergency for the system. In that moment, the brain installs an emergency software patch to protect you from future harm. A painful teenage breakup can install the program Intimacy is Danger.exe, a program that will run in the background for the rest of your life, sabotaging relationships to protect you. The cultural adoption, the collective software. Finally, we download and install programs from the collective consciousness of our culture. Beliefs about success, beauty, aging, politics, religion. These programs are so pervasive that we don't even recognize them as beliefs. We confuse them with reality. The perceptual filter, the guardian of your reality. Once these beliefs are installed, they become the filter through which you perceive reality. Your brain, so as not to be overwhelmed by the billions of bits of sensory data it receives every second, needs a filter, and the criterion it uses to decide what information to show you and what to ignore is your beliefs. This filter, known as the Reticular Activation System, RAS, is like your consciousness's personal secretary. Your beliefs are the instructions you give it. If you firmly believe that people are not to be trusted, you have told your secretary, "Only let me see the calls and emails that prove people are not to be trusted." Your brain then will become an expert at detecting any slightest sign of dishonesty in others, while completely ignoring the countless acts of kindness, loyalty, and trust around you. Your reality then will prove that your belief is correct, creating a feedback loop that strengthens and solidifies it. If you believe that opportunities are scarce, you will walk down the street and see trash, traffic, and hostile faces. If you believe that opportunities are everywhere, you will walk down the same street and overhear a conversation that gives you a business idea, see a for rent sign in the perfect location, and run into an old friend who connects you with an investor. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we believe it is. And in doing so, we create the world we see. Your reality is a perfect mirror of your inner operating system. The first practice, the reality reverse engineering, the code diagnosis. You cannot see your subconscious beliefs directly. By definition, they are subconscious. But you can see their perfect reflection, their imprint on the material world, your external reality. The practice is that of reverse engineering. You take an area of your life where the results are not what you desire, your finances, your relationships, your health, your career, and instead of blaming external circumstances, you ask yourself the question of the software engineer looking for a bug. What belief would I have to hold as an absolute truth for this outcome to be the logical and perfect consequence? Example, if you are constantly in a cycle of debt, the answer might be, I would have to believe that money is hard to get. You have found the line of code. Example, if you consistently attract emotionally unavailable partners, the answer might be, I would have to believe that intimacy is dangerous. You have found the bug. Perform this exercise for every area of your life. It is a brave diagnosis, the first act of a master programmer preparing to debug his system. The second practice, the decompilation of belief, the Socratic interrogation. Once you have found a faulty line of code, you don't try to erase it by force. That would create resistance. First, you decompile it. You expose it to the light of your adult consciousness and dismantle it piece by piece. You take the belief you have identified and subject it to a Socratic interrogation in your journal. Is this absolutely true? The search for the exception. You take the belief, for example, I am not good enough, and you ask yourself, is this 100% true without any possible exception? Search your entire life history and find at least 3 moments, no matter how small, when you were enough. This questioning begins to create cracks in the apparent solidity of the belief. Where did this code come from? The origin trace. You ask yourself, is this belief really mine, or is it the recorded voice of my parent, of a teacher? Was the person I inherited this belief from a master in this area of life? Often we realize that we have taken financial advice from someone who was bankrupt, or relationship advice from someone in an unhappy relationship. This undermines the authority of the code. What has it cost me to run this program? The cost calculation. You calculate the real cost of having maintained this belief. What relationships has it sabotaged? What opportunities has it made you reject? What joy has it prevented? How much money has it cost you? Be specific. This step creates the emotional leverage necessary for change. The third practice, the writing of the new code, the patch installation. It is not enough to uninstall the old program. You must install a new, superior one in its place. Design the new belief. You create a new belief, a new line of code that is personal, positive, and in the present tense. If the old one was, I am not good enough, the new one is, I am the embodiment of unconditional worth, and my value is inherent and undeniable. Install with immersion. Now, for 30 days, you dedicate yourself to installing this new program. You use repetition, morning and nightly affirmations, mixed with emotion, feeling the truth of the new belief in your body, and imagination, creating mental scenes that confirm it. This is the process of pouring new concrete. Look for the evidence. During those 30 days, you become a detective who looks for the slightest evidence in your reality that your new belief is true. Every small piece of evidence you find and write down in your journal is like spraying water on the fresh concrete, so it can cure and solidify. You have been revealed the law of belief. You are not a victim of your old beliefs. You are the alchemist who, with repetition and feeling, can forge any truth he chooses to live in. Chapter 6. The Law of Gestation, the Rhythm of Creation. This law states that everything in the universe, from the formation of a galaxy to the growth of a flower, from the conception of a child to the manifestation of an empire, has an incubation period. There is a necessary time, a sacred rhythm, between the sowing of the cause and the visible manifestation of the effect. The fantasy of instant manifestation, the microwave tyranny, the New Age culture, in its attempt to simplify and commercialize the laws of the mind, has often sold us a fantasy, that of instant manifestation. It is the idea of spiritual fast food, that you can simply desire something with enough force, visualize it once, and it will magically appear in your life the next day, like a package delivered by a cosmic courier service. When this inevitably does not happen, we fall into frustration, self-criticism, and doubt. The law doesn't work for me. I'm doing something wrong. I'm not good enough at this, but the law never fails, just as gravity never fails. What fails is our understanding of it and our lack of alignment with its rhythms. The universe is not a magician pulling rabbits out of a hat for our entertainment. It is a master gardener, and a garden operates with the sacred and immutable rhythms of nature, the wisdom of the gardener, the oak seed analogy. Imagine you plant an oak seed in your garden. You don't expect to see a majestic 30-meter tree the next day. You understand with an innate wisdom and a natural patience that you have initiated a process, the sowing. You plant the seed in the prepared earth, you set your intention, you engrave your new belief in the subconscious. The invisible gestation. For weeks and months, most of the work, the most crucial work, happens underground in the darkness, completely invisible to your eyes. The seed, activated by the water of your emotion, breaks its tough shell. The first delicate roots begin to spread, searching for an anchor, water, and nutrients. It is a period of silent, intense, and miraculous activity. The sprout, the first evidence. Only when the roots are strong and deep enough to sustain it does the first delicate green sprout emerge into the sunlight. It is the first tangible sign, the first synchronicity, that confirms to you that life is underway. The growth, the consolidation. And from there, the tree grows slowly, season after season, year after year, strengthening with each storm, expanding its branches toward the sky and its roots toward the earth, until after many years, it becomes the majestic oak tree that was contained. As pure potential, in the small, humble, original seed, your manifestations, especially the large and significant ones, follow the exact same law. When you imprint a new belief in your subconscious, you have planted the seed. Immediately on the invisible plane in the quantum workshop, the machinery is set in motion. Your subconscious, connected to the universal mind, begins to reorganize energy, to orchestrate synchronicities, to move people, to prepare the bridge of incidents that will lead you step by step to your harvest. All this work happens in the darkness, beneath the surface of your perceptible reality. Impatience. The poison of creation, impatience, is the madness of the gardener who digs up the seed every day to see if it is growing. It is not a simple character trait. It is an active, powerful form of doubt. It is a vibrational declaration of distrust in the law of creation. It is the act of digging up the seed to see if it is growing, an act that inevitably kills the germination process by exposing the delicate root to air for which it is not yet prepared. It is a deeply destructive practice. Every time you anxiously wonder, where is my manifestation? For every time you frantically look for proof in the outside world, you are doing two things. You are emitting the vibration of lack. Your attention is not on the certainty of the harvest, but on the absence of the sprout. You are watering your seed not with the water of faith, but with the acid of lack. You are sending a counter-command to the universe that says, my current reality is one of not having it, and the universe, which is a mirror, reflects that reality. You are interfering with the process. Your anxiety creates an incoherent signal that interrupts the delicate work of reorganization that the universe is doing for you. It's as if the CEO, you, went down to the engineering room every 5 minutes to shout at the engineers, the universe, changing the blueprints and demanding results. The result is chaos and delay. Impatience is the poison that kills most dreams before they have a chance to germinate. You understand that the gestation period is not a time of passive waiting, but a time of active faith. You learn the sacred disciplines to tend your garden during the winter of invisibility, ensuring that the spring of manifestation arrives in its perfect time. The first practice, active faith versus passive waiting, the Creator's posture. First, we must differentiate the master's patience from the slave's patience. Passive waiting is that of the victim. It is a state of powerlessness, of hoping that an external force will someday perhaps save us or give us what we want. It feels like being in a waiting room, anxiously watching the clock. Its vibration is one of lack and powerlessness. Active patience, active faith is that of the Creator. It is not a state of inaction. It is a state of interaction. It is the conscious and deliberate discipline of maintaining the state of being, of your wish fulfilled, during the gestation period. Regardless of external circumstances, you are not waiting for your desire to arrive to feel good. You feel good, you trust, you live in the gratitude of your wish, already fulfilled now. And that sustained state is what acts as the sun and water that nourish the seed and accelerate its growth. The practice is a check-in of your inner posture. Several times a day you ask yourself, am I passively waiting or am I actively trusting? Is my posture that of a beggar waiting for a handout, or that of a king waiting for the arrival of a tribute he knows is his by right? And if you find yourself in the posture of the beggar, you deliberately choose to re-embody the posture of the king. The second practice, the mental diet, protecting the seed from weeds. To protect the seed in the darkness, the gardener must be vigilant and pull out the weeds of doubt as soon as they appear. Your practice is that of a strict and sovereign mental diet. It is the art of refusing to entertain any thought, conversation, or feeling that contradicts the truth of your wish fulfilled. The guardian at the gate. You become the guardian of the door of your mind. When a thought of impatience, why is it taking so long, or doubt, what if it doesn't work, tries to enter, you do not fight it. Fighting gives it power. You simply, with a sovereign calm, recognize it as an echo of the past or as static interference and deny it entry. You withdraw your attention from it and deliberately return it to the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. The counter-decree. Often, especially at the beginning, you use the tool of the counter-decree. Doubt whispers, you see no proof. This isn't working. You, with an inner calm, respond with the new law. Divine time is perfect. Everything is unfolding in a perfect sequence for my highest good. My faith is the only proof I need. It is not a battle. It is a serene reaffirmation of the truth. The evidence fast. For a time you practice the art of not obsessively looking for external proof. That search is born of need and doubt. Instead you find the evidence within you, in the peace you feel, in the clarity of your vision, in the strength of your faith. The third practice, the conscious occupation, tending the rest of the garden. A gardener who spends all day staring fixedly at the patch of earth where he planted his oak seed will inevitably fall into anxiety and the temptation to dig it up to check on the progress. The wise gardener, once he has done his work, occupies himself with other tasks in the garden. The practice is that of conscious occupation, the art of joyful forgetting. Once you have done your inner work, once you have planted the seed in your meditation and watered it with your gratitude, the most effective way not to interfere is to forget about it. Not with a forced forgetting, which is a form of resistance, but by occupying your conscious mind with the wholeness and joy of the present moment. Immerse yourself in your work. Give yourself to your daily work with presence and excellence. Enjoy a hobby. Lose track of time in an activity you are passionate about, one that completely absorbs you. Serve others. The fastest way to get out of self-obsession is to help someone with their challenges. Service connects you with a larger flow of energy. Find joy now. Do not postpone your happiness. Find joy in the simple things in your life today. A walk, a good meal, a conversation with a friend. By keeping your conscious mind occupied with the joy of the present, you allow your subconscious mind and universal intelligence to work on your future undisturbed, without the interference of your constant analysis. Manifestation often arrives like a thief in the night. At the moment, you have completely let go of your attachment to the outcome, because it is in that moment of total detachment that your faith is purest. The test of patience has been passed. You have learned not only to plant the seed of your desire, but to be the wise and confident guardian of its gestation. You are no longer a prisoner of the ego's anxious clock. You are a partner of divine time, who rests in the unshakable certainty that every harvest by law arrives in its perfect season. Chapter 7. The Law of the Void, the Power of Surrender. The untrained mind, the ego, operates under a fundamental illusion, the most exhausting of all, the belief that control is power. It believes that to achieve its goals, to manifest its desires, to protect itself from the chaos of life, it must control circumstances, control people, control the outcome, control the how and the when. This belief turns life into a chess game against an infinitely more intelligent opponent, the universe. The ego, with its limited three-move vision, tries to plan every move, anticipate every threat, force every play, and it spends its life in a state of constant tension, chronic anxiety, and deep exhaustion, because life, in its vast and interconnected complexity, refuses to be controlled by one of its tiny pieces. Struggling for control is the recipe for suffering. The law of the void presents us with an inverted truth, one that is anathema to the ego, but music to the soul. True power does not reside in control. It resides in intelligent surrender. The physics of surrender. Wu Wei and the flow, the ancient Taoist sages, masters in the observation of the rhythms of nature, coined a term for this state of supreme power, Wu Wei. Wu Wei is often translated as inaction or non-doing, but this translation is misleading and has led many to passivity. Wu Wei does not mean laziness or apathy. It means, more precisely, effortless action, or action without struggle. It is the art of acting in perfect harmony with the natural flow of the universe, with the Tao. It is the wisdom of a master martial artist who does not oppose his opponent's force but yields, flows around it, and uses the attacker's own energy to effortlessly guide him to the ground. Imagine you are in a rushing river and your destination is downstream. The person who operates from control is the one who tries to swim frantically against the current to stay safe, or tries to paddle faster than the river to get there sooner. His effort is immense, his progress is minimal, and his exhaustion is total. He is at war with the river. The master of Wu Wei is the one who, instead of fighting the river, surrenders to its current. He gets on a raft, his state of faith, lets go of the oars, his need to control the how, and uses a small rudder, his clear intention and his intuition, to gently guide himself between the rocks, using the immense unstoppable force of the river to carry him to his destination with a speed and grace that the swimmer could never achieve. He is not fighting life, he is dancing with it. Intelligent surrender is not giving up. It is handing over the how and the when to a higher intelligence that has the satellite vision, while you only have a street map. It is the act of faith that once you have established your destination, your intention, the universe knows the fastest, most elegant, and most joyful route to get you there. It is the art of getting out of your own way. The fertile void, the creator's canvas, for surrender to be possible, for you to be able to let go of the oars, you must first feel comfortable on the raft, in the space of non-doing. You must create a void. Our mind, as we have seen, abhors a vacuum. It tries to fill every microsecond with thoughts, with plans, with worries, with distractions. This constant mental noise is the energy of control, the vibration of resistance. It is the anxious chatter of the drowning swimmer. Creating a void is the deliberate act of silencing the ego's mind in order to hear the universe's wisdom. It is to create a space of non-resistance so that the machinery of manifestation can operate at maximum speed without the friction of your interference. The ego sees the void as nothingness, as death. The soul knows that the void is not nothingness, it is everythingness of potential. The void is not sterile, it is fertile. It is the womb of the cosmos. It is the silence from which the most sublime music is born. It is the blank canvas. And only on a blank canvas can the universe, the great artist, paint its masterpiece. If your mental canvas is filled with scribbles of fear, rigid plans, and control, there is no space for divine inspiration to land. The first practice, differentiating surrender from resignation, the inner barometer. To surrender with power, you must first understand on a cellular level what surrender is not. It is not resignation. They are opposite poles of the energetic spectrum. Resignation is the state of the victim. It is born of powerlessness and hopelessness. It is the sigh of, "I've fought, I can't do anything, so I give up." It feels heavy, dense, depressing. It is an energy of contraction. It abandons the desire. Surrender is the state of the master. It is born of power and absolute trust in the law. It is the serene declaration of, "I have done my part, set the intention and the state of being, and now I trust a higher intelligence to take care of the rest in a way my limited mind cannot conceive. It feels light, expansive, liberating. It is an active faith. It abandons the struggle, not the desire. Your practice is that of the inner barometer. When you find yourself letting go of something, pause and consult your body. Do you feel the weight of defeat on your shoulders, that is resignation? Or do you feel the lightness of a burden that has been lifted, a feeling of relief and peace? That is surrender. Your body is the oracle that will tell you if you are abdicating your power or stepping into it. The second practice, the art of letting go, the ritual of sovereign handover. The Taoist engineer does not fight his need to control. He dissolves it through ritual. His practice is that of the symbolic act of handover, a formal contract with the universe. The decree of release. After you have performed your scientific prayer, after you have imprinted your desire on the subconscious, you add a release clause. You say silently or aloud, with the solemnity of a CEO delegating a crucial task, "Universe infinite intelligence, I accept this or something better for my highest good and the good of all involved. I have done my work of clarity and alignment. Now with love and gratitude I delegate to you, the Chief Operating Officer of the cosmos, the logistics of the how and the choreography of the when. I let go of my control. I trust in your perfect wisdom and your perfect timing." Surprise me. The symbolic act. To anchor this decree on the physical plane, you perform a symbolic act. You write your desire on a piece of paper, and then you surrender it to the universe in a way that resonates with you. Burn it. Dissolve it in water. Let it go with a balloon, or bury it. The act itself doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling of relief and total liberation that accompanies it. You have delegated the task. It's no longer on your desk. The third practice, cultivating the fertile void, the art of doing nothing. The ego hates a vacuum. The soul thrives in it. The reality engineer's final practice is to deliberately create and inhabit silence, the space where magic can happen. Your practice is meditation as non-doing, also known as the blank canvas practice. You sit in silence for 10 or 15 minutes, and your only task is to let go. You don't focus on the breath, you don't repeat a mantra, unless you need to at the beginning to calm yourself. Your true instruction is, do nothing, become space. You let go of the need to control your thoughts. You let go of the tension in your body. You let go of your agenda for the day, your plans, your worries. You create a space of pure receptivity, a fertile void. And in this empty space, inspiration, intuitive guidance and creative solutions can at last land without the interference of your ego's noise. The fourth practice, inspired action, the small rudder. Surrender is not paralysis. The master on the raft does not fall asleep. He is awake, attentive, relaxed. He has let go of the oars, but he still holds the small rudder. The final practice is to learn how to use that rudder. After your practice of the fertile void, in that state of calm and receptivity, you ask yourself a simple, gentle question. What is the next smallest, most obvious and most joyful step? You are not looking for a master plan. You are looking for the next inspired action. The answer will not come as a complex analysis, but as a whisper, a gentle impulse. Call that person. Read that book. Take a walk in that park. Write that idea. This small action, which often seems illogical or unproductive to the ego, is your use of the rudder. It is your dance with the river. It is the act of following the breadcrumb that the universe has left you. Surrender allows you to hear the instruction, and inspired action is your obedience to that guidance. It is the perfect synthesis of faith and action. The law of the void has been revealed to you. You have learned that supreme power does not reside in forced doing, but in aligned allowing. That surrender is not weakness, but the highest form of trust. You are no longer the rower who fights the current, exhausted and frustrated. You are the current itself, flowing with a grace and effectiveness and a power that effort could never match. Chapter 8. Calibrating the instrument. Most of us live as victims of our own instrument. We wake up in the morning and, as the first act of the day, see how we feel. as if we were consulting a weather forecast over which we have no control. If we feel good, we predict a good day. If we feel bad, we resign ourselves to a difficult day, sighing with helplessness. We have abdicated our sovereign power to the tyranny of our mood, believing it to be an uncontrollable force, like the climate. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm not in the mood. I'm having a bad day. These phrases are the anthem of the victim. This is the mentality of the amateur musician, who blames the instrument for his bad music, without realizing that it is his responsibility to tune it, care for it, and practice with it. The reality engineer, the master musician, knows a deeper, more liberating truth. Your mood is not something that happens to you. It is something you generate and practice. Your vibrational state is not a reaction to the world. It is the cause of the world you experience. And the most important skill you can develop as a conscious creator is not to think harder or work longer. It is to choose your frequency at will. This is not superficial positive thinking. It is vibrational calibration. It is the art of tuning your own being so that the music you emit is by choice and not by chance, the symphony of the reality you wish to create. The philosophy of calibration, the vibrational set point your being, like any biological system, operates under the principle of homeostasis. It seeks to maintain a stable, normal balance. You have a set point for your body temperature, your blood pressure, and you also have a predetermined vibrational set point. It is your familiar emotional state, the habitual climate of your being, the frequency to which your system defaults when you are not making a conscious effort to change it. For most people, due to decades of subconscious programming, this set point is fixed at a survival frequency, a dull anxiety, chronic worry, rush, frustration, or self-criticism. You can have moments of joy or peace, a vibrational peak during a vacation or a meditation, but if you do not work to recalibrate your system at a fundamental level, your mind and body, through neurological and biochemical habit, will always return to that familiar set point. The system interprets the old frequency, no matter how painful, as safe, and the new, elevated frequency as strange and therefore potentially dangerous. This is why we often sabotage our own happiness. The reality engineer's job is not simply to have high vibration peaks during a morning ritual. It is to raise the predetermined set point. It is to make peace, gratitude, and abundance become your new normal state, your new vibrational home. Calibrating your instrument is the act of deliberately choosing a higher frequency and sustaining it with consistency long enough for your body and mind to memorize it as the new standard. It is a training. With each repetition, you prove to your system that this new state is not only desirable, but also safe. The two modes of calibration. The frequency engineer operates in two modes. Proactive calibration. This is the work you do in moments of calm, such as in your morning ritual. It is preventive maintenance. It's tuning the piano before the concert. The goal is to set the vibrational tone for the day, starting from a state of power and coherence. Reactive calibration. This is the work you do in the middle of the concert of your day, when an external circumstance, an encounter, or an old thought has detuned you. It is emergency repair. It is a master musician's ability to quickly and effectively retune his guitar between songs, without the audience even noticing. The tools we will learn next can be used in both modes, turning you into a master of your inner state in any circumstance. The first tool, the somatic door, the direct access to the nervous system. The fastest and most effective way to change your emotional state is not through the mind, trying to think your way to calm is often a frustrating exercise. It is through the body. Your physiology and your emotion are a two-way street. Change one and the other is obliged to follow. The coherence breath. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system. Short, fast, chest-level breathing shouts at your brain that you are in danger, keeping you at the frequency of stress, sympathetic mode. Slow, deep, rhythmic breathing from the diaphragm whispers to your brain that you are safe, bringing you to the frequency of calm and creation, parasympathetic mode. The practice of heart coherence, which we have already explored, is your fundamental calibration tool. The power pose. Your posture is a biochemical decree for your brain. If you hunch over, you compress your diaphragm and tell your brain to produce the chemistry of helplessness and depression. If you stand straight, you open your chest, Roll your shoulders back and smile slightly. You are ordering your brain to produce the chemistry of confidence and well-being. The second tool, the resonance chamber, the frequency library. Your past does not have to be a prison that binds you. It can be your library of frequencies, a reserve fund of emotional states that you can access at will. The practice of emotional memory is the art of using a memory not for its story, but for its vibration. The vibrational extraction protocol. First, decide what state you want to embody. Then scan your memory for a moment, however small, when you felt that emotion purely and potently. Close your eyes. Relive the memory in the first person with all your senses until you feel the emotion arising in your body now. As the emotion peaks, release the story but retain the pure feeling. This is the act of using the gold of your past to finance and calibrate your present. The third tool, the amplifier, the vortex of gratitude. Of all the emotions, gratitude is the fastest, most potent and most versatile calibration tool. It is the frequency of reception, the antidote to lack. The Gratitude Burst Protocol. 60 seconds. This is your emergency calibration tool. When you are in a low-frequency state, complaint, frustration, fear, pause, and for 60 seconds without stopping, verbalize or write down everything you could be grateful for. The goal is momentum, speed. It's to create a vortex of high-frequency energy that short-circuits the negative thought patterns. It is a vibrational intervention that forces you out of a low-frequency state. The fourth tool, the tuned environment, the soul's acoustics. Finally, the frequency engineer knows that his instrument is constantly influenced by the environment. Your practice is that of environmental tuning, turning you into a curator of your vibrational space. Sonic curation. Use music consciously. Create playlists for different desired states. Use silence as a tool to cleanse your auditory palette. Visual curation. Your visual environment is a constant affirmation. Is your desk full of clutter and bills, chaos and scarcity? Or is it clean and ordered, with an image that inspires you, clarity and possibility? Social curation. Emotions are contagious. Consciously choose to spend more time with vibrational chargers, people who resonate with gratitude and possibility, and less with vibrational vampires, nature. The engineer knows that nature is the perfect tuning fork. A walk in the forest is the fastest way to recalibrate his system to the frequency of harmony. The law of vibration, now turned into the daily practice of calibration, has been revealed to you. You are no longer a victim of your moods, a leaf carried by the wind of circumstances. You are a musician, a frequency engineer, the sovereign director of your own symphony. You have learned the most liberating truth. To change your world, you don't have to change a single fact. You just have to learn to change your song. Chapter 9, Rewriting the Code. This is a fundamental skill. It's like learning to reboot a computer when it starts to run slowly or a program freezes. It gives you immediate control over your present experience. But what happens if, every time you reboot the computer, the same virus reappears after a few minutes? What happens if, despite your best efforts to calibrate your joy, an invisible force, an undercurrent, drags you over and over again back to the familiarity of anxiety, doubt, or unworthiness? This means that the problem is not a simple temporary program failure. The problem is engraved in the operating system itself. Rebooting the system, calibrating your state, is a temporary and necessary solution. For a permanent, effortless change, you must uninstall the faulty software and write a new program in the core of your being. You must go from being a user to being a programmer. You must learn to rewrite the code, the engineering of belief, hardware versus software. Imagine that your brain and nervous system are the hardware, the most powerful and sophisticated computer in the universe. A quantum neuroplastic self-healing supercomputer with a processing capacity that far exceeds any machine created by man. The problem is never your hardware. It is perfect. Your beliefs are the software, the programs that run on that hardware. And here lies the problem. The software you are running is to a large extent obsolete, inefficient, and full of viruses and malware. They are the programs of "I'm not enough." Life is a struggle. The world is a dangerous place. You don't deserve it. That were installed in your childhood by well-intentioned programmers, your parents, your culture, who, in turn, were running their own faulty programs. Your job as a reality engineer is to go from being a frustrated user who suffers the constant crashes and error messages of these programs to becoming the sovereign programmer who has the access and the knowledge to rewrite the source code. The administrator access, the portal of brain states, to change a system's source code, you can't do it while all the programs are running at full speed. You need special access. You need to reboot in safe mode or have the administrator password that gives you elevated privileges. In the machinery of your mind, that safe mode corresponds to the different states of brainwaves. To reprogram, you need to access the right state, beta state, work mode. This is your normal waking state. Your conscious analytical mind is active. This is the firewall of your system, the guardian who questions all new information. It's excellent for performing tasks in the world, but it's the worst state for reprogramming, as the firewall will reject any new belief that contradicts existing programming. Alpha state, the creative bridge. This is a state of light relaxation. It is reached during light meditation, daydreaming, or when you are immersed in a creative activity. The firewall begins to come down. The mind becomes more suggestible. It is the bridge to the subconscious. Theta state, programming mode. This is the super user access. It is the state of deep relaxation, of deep meditation, the threshold of sleep when you are falling asleep or waking up. In theta, your conscious analytical mind is practically inactive. The firewall is deactivated. You have direct access to the hard drive of your subconscious mind. Suggestions, new images, and new lines of code can be installed without the resistance of critical thought. As we have already explored, this is the state you lived in during your first 7 years of life. The reason why your original programming was so deep and effective. Delta state, repair mode. Finally, you fall into deep sleep, the delta state, where the body performs its repair functions. Therefore, the programmer's workshop is primarily a twilight workshop. The most powerful moments to rewrite your code are in the sacred stillness just before you sleep and just upon waking. The first practice, the MOO operating system audit, the code debugger, the AIA. Software engineer cannot repair code he has not found. His first practice is to audit the system, to run a diagnostic to find the bugs. As we learned in the chapter on the law of belief, you perform a reverse engineering. You take a recurring error 404 in your life, an area where the results are not what you desire, a pattern that repeats itself, and you ask yourself the systems engineer's question: what line of code, what fundamental belief would have to be running in my operating system for this error to be the logical, perfect and inevitable result? Example: if the error is a pattern of self-sabotage in your relationships, the reverse engineering might lead you to the line of code. Belief: love is dangerous and always ends in abandonment. Example: if the error is chronic procrastination, the underlying code might be belief: if I really try and fail, I will confirm that I am not good enough, so it is safer not to try at all. Example: if the error is a constant struggle with health or weight, the code could be belief: my body is defective and prone to disease. Perform this audit with brave, non-judgmental honesty. You are not looking for fault. You are looking for code. Once you have isolated the line of code, you have brought it from the darkness of the 95% into the light of the 5%. You have stripped it of its invisible power. Now you can work with it. The second practice, writing the new code, the soul's programming language. Once you have found the faulty line of code, you must write its replacement, its updated software patch. The practice is that of creating the power affirmation. This is not a superficial positive thinking phrase. It is a line of code designed with a precise syntax to be accepted by the subconscious. As we have already learned, this new code must meet 3 fundamental syntax rules: positive, personal, and in the present tense. The subconscious does not process negatives. I am not poor is recorded as poor. It responds to the I am command, which is the most powerful declaration of identity, and it only understands the now, simple, clear, and resonant. The subconscious is like a 5-year-old child. It needs simple, clear instructions, not long abstract concepts. The affirmation must be short and resonate with you. Emotionally charged. This is the key that compiles the code. An affirmation without feeling is like code that never executes. You must find the words that trigger the feeling of the new reality. Example of code rewriting: old code, bug. Love is dangerous and always ends in abandonment. New code, version 2.0, I am a magnet for love. I am safe in giving and receiving unconditional love. My relationships are a reflection of my own wholeness. Dedicate time to writing your new code. Polish it, feel it. Make sure every word vibrates with the frequency of your desired future. The third practice, the installation ritual, the nightly compilation. With the new code written, the time comes for installation. This is the most important act of reprogramming. The practice is that of the nightly installation ritual. Preparation. The last hour before sleep is sacred. Avoid screens, blue light that keeps you in beta, news, cortisol injections, and stressful conversations. Prepare your system to enter programming mode, theta induction. You lie in bed in the dark and silent. You guide your brain into the theta state. You'll know you're in theta when your body feels heavy and your mind begins to float. The loop installation. Now, with the critical mind asleep, you begin the installation. You repeat softly in your mind your new line of code, not with force but like a lullaby. As you repeat it, you evoke the associated feeling. You feel the security of love. You feel the calm of abundance. You let the word and the feeling merge. Falling asleep in the new reality, you continue this gentle loop until, without realizing it, you fall asleep. The goal is for the last awareness you have before sleep to be that of your new reality. This act of imprinting the subconscious just before sleep is the most potent act of manifestation that exists. Morning reinforcement. The moment you wake up, before opening your eyes, your brain is still in a receptive alpha-theta state. Take advantage of this golden window to repeat your new line of code several times, reinforcing the previous night's installation. The fourth practice, daytime execution, running the new software. A new program is useless if you never run it. During the day, you must act as if the new code were already your default reality. This is the practice of active evidence seeking. Your job during the day is to actively seek or create small proofs that your new program is working. If your new code is I am a magnet for opportunities, you take a small action aligned with that. You go to a networking event you would have avoided, or you call a potential client with new confidence. When you get a small positive result, you celebrate it as proof that the new software works. If your new code is I am worthy of love, you perform an act of radical self-love. You take an afternoon off for yourself. You buy something that nourishes you. You set a boundary you were previously afraid to set. Every time you act in accordance with your new belief, you are strengthening the new neural superhighways. You are proving to your subconscious that the system update was successful, and that this is the new standard operating mode. The code has been rewritten. The machinery has been updated. You are no longer a victim of your programming. You are its sovereign engineer. You have learned not only to reboot the system in a moment of crisis, but to transform it from its core, ensuring that your future reality is the reflection of a code written not by the chance of your childhood, but by the intention of your awakened soul. Chapter 10. Living in Flow, the State of Flow, a term coined by the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, has been popularized in our culture as the pinnacle of productivity. It is that magical and elusive state in which an athlete, an artist, a programmer, or a surgeon becomes so deeply immersed in their task that the external world fades away. Time seems to disappear, and performance becomes extraordinary and almost superhuman. But to reduce flow to a productivity hack is like describing the sun as a simple light bulb to read better. It is the domestication of the divine. Flow, from the perspective of the universal machinery we have studied, is much more. It is a state of consciousness. It is the subjective experience of perfect alignment between your individual mind and the universal mind. It is the sound of an inner machinery that, at last, works without friction, in perfect harmony, lubricated by grace. It is not a state you achieve to do better. It is the state of your true self, which, when allowed to emerge, does things perfectly and effortlessly. The 4 characteristics of flow. The state of flow has 4 unmistakable characteristics, 4 notes that make up its celestial chord. The loss of the doer, the death of the supervisor. In the state of flow, the sensation of a separate self, of an ego that is doing the task, dissolves. The anxious supervisor who lives in your head, the one who criticizes, who judges, who worries about the outcome, has gone on vacation. You don't feel that you are writing. You feel that the writing is happening through you. You don't feel that you are solving the problem. You feel that the solution is revealing itself, unfolding before your consciousness. You become the channel, the vehicle, the instrument. The music is not something you play. It is something that plays you. This dissolution of the ego is the source of the profound peace and the absence of self-criticism that characterize flow. The distortion of time, the entry into the eternal now. Linear time, the ego's most fundamental construct, collapses. Hours can pass as if they were minutes. Or conversely, in a high-speed situation, a single second can expand to give you all the time in the world to make a perfect decision. The athlete who sees the ball in slow motion, the pilot who has infinite time to react to an emergency. These are examples of the plasticity of time in the state of flow. You leave the time of the clock, Chronos, and enter the eternal now, Kairos. You anchor yourself so deeply in the present moment that the past and the future cease to exist. There is only this moment, and in this moment you have all the time you need. Effortless action, the embodiment of Wu Wei. Action in the state of flow does not require willpower. The struggle, the resistance, and the forced effort vanish. The action becomes spontaneous, intuitive, precise, and perfect. The right decisions are made on their own, without deliberation. The right words appear in your mind without you searching for them. The right movement is executed without thinking about it. There is no doubt, there is no hesitation. It is the perfect embodiment of the Taoist principle of Wu Wei, effortless action. You are not pushing the river. You have become the river, flowing inevitably toward your destiny, circumventing obstacles with a natural grace. Access to a higher intelligence, the connection to the cosmic cloud. In flow, you stop operating from your local hard drive, from your own limited knowledge and experience. You feel that you have established a high-speed connection to an infinite database, to the cloud of the universal mind. Ideas, solutions, inspirations, the lines of a poem, the solution to an equation, come to you from a place that is beyond your logical mind. You do not build the idea piece by piece. You download it already complete. This is the state of genius, the state in which great creators like Mozart, Tesla, or Einstein operated. They did not see themselves as the inventors of their ideas, but as the receivers, the antennas that captured a transmission from the cosmos. This state is not something you have to earn or that is granted to you by chance. It is your natural state of being. It is how life is designed to be lived. Stress, struggle, resistance, and friction are the anomaly, the disease of a disconnected mind. Flow is the norm you have forgotten how to return to. Lacks the machinery and harmony. Why does flow occur? The state of flow is not a lucky accident. It is the predictable result, the inevitable consequence of all the machinery's laws that we have studied operating in perfect synchrony and harmony. It is the state of coherence, the law of vibration in action. Flow is the subjective experience of total heart-brain coherence. Your heart, your emotion, and your brain, your thought, are in perfect alignment, emitting a clear, powerful, and harmonious signal. The music and the lyrics are a single song. It is the state of unified belief, the law of belief in action. Flow occurs when your conscious 5% and your subconscious 95% are working as a single team, pursuing the same goal. The captain on the bridge, conscious, has stopped shouting contradictory orders and has learned to trust in the wisdom of his crew and his autopilot, subconscious, which have now been reprogrammed for success. It is the state of non-resistance, the law of the void in action. Flow is the embodiment of the law of the void and surrender. You have let go of control. You have released your attachment to the outcome. You have handed over the how to a higher intelligence. And in doing so, you have created the void, the open channel through which the universe's intelligence can flow without the obstruction of your ego. Flow is, in essence, the sound of a perfectly tuned and lubricated inner machinery, functioning without friction, in total harmony with itself and with the cosmos. The first practice, the dissolution of technique from scaffolding to temple. Throughout this manual, You have learned a series of practices and techniques: belief auditing, scientific prayer, vibrational calibration, the nightly installation ritual. These techniques are the scaffolding, the tools needed to demolish the old building of your limited identity and build the temple of your new consciousness. They are absolutely essential. But the goal of all scaffolding is not to remain forever. It is to be removed once the building is solid and can stand on its own. The person who has achieved mastery no longer clings to techniques with a beginner's rigidity. Why? Because he has practiced them with such devotion and consistency that they have become automatic, subconscious. They have gone from being software he has to consciously execute to being part of his new operating system. He no longer needs to practice meditation to find calm. His natural state of being, his vibrational set point, is calm. Silence is no longer a refuge he escapes to. It is the home he lives in. He no longer needs to practice reprogramming with affirmations. His inner dialogue, by default, has become a flow of thoughts of power, possibility, and self-respect. His entire being is a living affirmation. He no longer needs to force a feeling of gratitude. His heart, having been trained in coherence and freed from the chains of resentment, naturally resides in a state of appreciation and awe at the miracle of existence. The conscious effort dissolves into a state of being. It's like learning a new language. At first, you consciously translate every word, the technique, but after years of immersion, you stop translating. You simply think and feel in the new language, the state of being. The second practice, the compass of joy, navigating by resonance. With the techniques dissolved into being, what is the compass that guides the master of flow in his day-to-day life? The answer is the simplest, the most profound, and the most liberating of all: joy. Joy, as we explored earlier, is not superficial, conditional happiness. It is the soul's resonance. It is the unmistakable signal, the vibrational yes that you are in perfect alignment with your purpose and with the universe's flow. The master's practice is, therefore, exquisitely simple. He follows joy. Faced with the choices of the day, from the smallest to the largest, he does not ask himself, what is most productive? What is most logical? Or what am I supposed to do? He asks himself, what path, what action, what conversation brings me a greater sense of expansion, of vitality, and of serene joy in this moment? And he trusts that compass with an absolute faith, knowing that the path of joy is always the path of power, of abundance, of service, and of fulfilled purpose. Joy is not a distraction from the path. It is the path itself, lit with neon lights by the universe. The third practice, life as art, the canvas of the now. Finally, the master of flow stops seeing his life as a series of problems to be solved or goals to be achieved. That is the mentality of the engineer, a necessary but not final stage. The master transcends this vision and begins to see every day, every moment, as a blank canvas on which he can create a work of art. The practice is to approach every task, from the most mundane to the most sublime, with an artist's mentality. When washing the dishes, he doesn't do it to finish the task. He does it with total presence, feeling the warmth of the water, seeing the beauty of the foam, turning an act of cleaning into a moving meditation. When writing an email, he doesn't do it to communicate information. He tries to turn it into a small work of art of clarity, kindness, and effectiveness. When having a conversation, he doesn't do it to get what he wants. He approaches it as a dance, an improvisation, an opportunity to create a moment of genuine human connection. This attitude transforms life. It removes it from the tyranny of the goal and anchors it in the beauty of the process. And, paradoxically, by focusing on making every moment a work of art, the results and goals manifest with even greater grace and beauty, the final symphony. The master of flow has reached a state of perfect harmony with the universe. He is no longer a victim of his moods, his beliefs, or his circumstances. He is the master of his inner world, and his inner world is a reflection of the reality he creates. His life is not a struggle. It is a dance. The universe is his partner, guiding him at every step with the music of joy. Our journey began with a frustration, with the honest admission that the map we had been given was wrong. We started as frustrated mechanics, trying to repair the magnificent machinery of our lives with useless tools, trapped in the great illusion that effort and superficial positive thinking were the answer. And throughout this manual, we have undertaken a revolution. We have opened the hood of the universe and of our own consciousness. In the first part, we diagnosed the illusion. We dismantled the mirage of positivity, seeing its ineffectiveness. We overthrew the tyranny of feeling good, learning to honor our emotions as messengers. And finally, we discovered the hidden cause, the true engine of our reality, the synergy between subconscious programming and the vibrational state of being. Then, in the second part, we delved into the invisible machinery. We deciphered the true laws that govern it. We learned the law of vibration, the universal language of frequency. We studied the law of belief, the operating system that runs our lives. We respected the law of gestation, the sacred rhythm of creation, and we surrendered to the law of the void, the paradoxical power of non-resistance, the heart of effortless manifestation. Finally, in the third part, we became engineers. We entered the practical workshop. We learned to calibrate the instrument of our being, to tune our own vibration. We mastered the art of rewriting the code of our limiting beliefs. And lastly, we integrated everything into the practice of living in flow, the state of grace where creation ceases to be a struggle and becomes a dance. The war is over. The war against yourself. The war against the universe. You have stopped being the mechanic who fights the machine. You have realized that you and the machine are one. Living in flow, the state that is the culmination of this knowledge, is not a life without action. It is a life where action is born of alignment, not of anxiety. It is not a life without challenges. It is a life where challenges are viewed with the curiosity of an engineer seeking a solution, not with the fear of a victim awaiting disaster. You no longer operate the machinery. You have become the machinery, functioning in perfect harmony. Your being is the cause, your life is the effect. And the space between the two is the pure joy of creation. Your journey of learning has ended. Your life as a reality engineer begins now. Your practice is no longer a technique you perform. It is a way of being you embody. Your question every morning is no longer, how can I make things happen? But how can I align myself more deeply with the flow that is already happening? Embrace the ease, trust the rhythm, and dance with the magnificent machinery of your own divine consciousness. You have reached the end of effort, and in the end of effort, you have found the beginning of all power. If this manual for the reality engineer has resonated with you and has opened the doors to your own engine room, we invite you to continue this exploration. Subscribe to our channel Path of Knowledge for more manuals that unveil the secrets of the universe. Like this video as a declaration of the end of your effort and the beginning of your flow. Share this knowledge with someone who is tired of struggling and ready to learn to dance. Thank you for your time, for your courage to unlearn, and for the brave decision to become the master of your own magnificent machinery.